Hey, what's up, YouTube? Good morning. I'm kind of messing around. I guess before I go home, I just got back to the yard, to clean up my truck and hop in my pickup and head to the house. But I just want to share with you guys, an interesting encounter I had with a Jehovah Witness character. Um, I mean, I admire their dedication, and I respect their belief, as I do all people's, in their respective beliefs system. But what these two guys did after they saw that I had or they had my attention for a little bit, the question came up about the Trinity. Could I show them where the word Trinity was mentioned in the Bible? And I says, well, man, I can do you one better. I said, I don't think anybody could verify uh, uh, any event that happened in the Bible or any of the people in the Bible uh, to make the case that they ever existed. Any events that the Bible claims or any of the people in the Bible, and of course that sort of stumped them a little bit. Um, I had some guys come at me like that before about with the reference or the inference with the three gods in the one, or one God, or was it three different manifestations of the same God and everything. And you know, I, I was going to church for a while, the Christian church and everything. And eventually, hopefully I get back into church. I like it in terms of a social setting and things like that. But, for people to make the case, well, maybe some of you may not know this, but I grew up an atheist. And then tried to believe in a couple of different things. I studied the Quran at first. Then I kind of got into the Bible because that seemed to have been what people were most familiar with in my neck of the woods down here in Northeast Arkansas. And then after, a few twists and turns and a little bit of growing, I like to think, I guess I fell somewhere in the middle and became somewhat of an agnostic. Meaning, like, there's a lot of question marks, and I just really didn't have the answers to, and I just was going to be fine in either case. Like, whatever the reality, was or is, I was all right with it. And so when I encounter people that come up and try to sell me on their brand or their version of religion, I respectfully, listen to them. And when they kind of try to go in on me as though maybe the assumption's made, like maybe I don't know something or whatever, then I fire back. Now I read all the time, and I'm right now I'm reading the Quran every day, and I've noticed some things in that religion. A lot of things I like, I really do. A lot of things I'm reading I like, and a lot of stuff is logical and makes sense. But I think the problem comes. Whatever branch of religion you are a part of, if there's a book involved that requires your understanding and comprehension and interpretation, you basically are going to have problems. That's just the way it is, and I think therein lies the problem. Because I mentioned a second ago, take Islam. There's roughly 2 billion Muslims, on the planet today, or maybe by the end of the decade, it'll be close to 2 million Muslims. Most Muslims, I mean, they're great people. I mean, they're law-abiding citizens, man, outstanding people. But the problem is, as in all, I guess, religious sects, that it's that small minority. You're probably talking about 1/100% of that 2 billion number that I mentioned about. That's you kind of have to be on the lookout because you don't know what they're up to, and they're probably the most dedicated and the most fanatical with their understanding and interpretation of their particular scriptural teachings, and that's out of 2 billion, like 1/100 of 1% is probably somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 200,000. I had to double check it, or you can check it, or whatever. But that's a lot of folks, to really be on the watch for. that have like these really overzealous ideals, and develop some ideologies, twisted ideologies along the way. And the problem is that usually the good Muslims, the good folks, they kind of get blamed for the small minority, the things that they're doing, because you're guilty by association. And the same be true with Christianity, but Christianity. Christians, man, we're so hypocritical. I mean, because if anything involving a Muslim, you're going to hear, jihadists, terrorists, all these kind of things. But when you get a guy like Hitler, who was a professing Christian, and do the things that he did, and I'm sure there's been a few come up behind him, you never hear those kind of verbs affixed to a person that professes Christianity, and everything. So I guess what I'm leading up to is when a person